refuge. The founder, the transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, subduer from the Sakya clan. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O Supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that praises in the 3 worlds, winner of the best Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus be like you, the 3 worlds are not. To you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founding having all understanding, the merit and vast like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, virtue that frees one from the lower realms. To the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime, attaining virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the Sangha, to all 3, every devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bound with bodies as many forms of attitude aspects. The Supreme Faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of a Buddha. A star, a visual elaboration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a dewdrop, dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash or a lightning cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing. Subdue the fear of faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbs, sickness.
Page 15 to the Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Because there is no attainment. Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All of those who dwell also manifestly and completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment, in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Taita gate gate karagate karasangate bodhisattva. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice in the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagata rejoices. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 20.
Short mandala, short.
Page 25, short mandala.
Digo amore, short mandala tir, mogash, short mandala here. Niyataya Sanje Chedan Soji Chanana Chanjo Badu Dani Japsuji Dagi Chujin Jive Sonamji Dola Benji Sanje Dubara Sanje Chedan Soji Chanana Chanjo Badu Dani Japsuji Dagi Chujin Jive Sonamji Dola Benji Sanje Dubara Sanje Chedan Soji Chanana Chanjo Badu Dani Japsuji Dagi Chujin Jive Sonamji Dola Benji Sanje Dubara Tanga de Zeni Zave, Dawa Danji Bawani, the Mission in the Godam de la Chazel. Tony Jason de Javelan, Judges in the Country, then to China, Martin de Zo, the Ocean de Lundra Show, but then the Lama Rambush. Dagi Jura Bementation, Garden Jembe goes on to Jim, so. Oh, that and the low seven and the younger. Zinda tsukju chungwa di ni nga rang sangma kyawa sangmo res ni ingos di yoga dang ni chanzo online nye kashi jorwas sangma la mikse tsamdi mangwa yosra.
So again we meet in this new year for the class. We're very fortunate to do so. And there are those who are making effort to watch online. So a special greeting and thanks for the effort. Welcome.
Anzo gulong gomdes jorwa. Tade anzo kanyeagi chwe dini da tewa chumbe chwe tabgi nangi tabgi cha lamgirin ba da dile lakwa nye yo mare sangdorwa. Chezang chumdende pena da ngobu je tundun ju sen da di tige di songya dire lamgirin ba di. Chezang da kewa sangbo meze dile ya susu nga zongna dinde ji yangya chik tewa chi ki chunga samla tangyu chunga kumgyu chunga di kewa sangbo shevji yin chezang dinge ni chwe di tewa chumbe chwe sabo shevji resha di ni nye di mishin le ya pendo che ya tang marang nima tiringne she chik samba sangar tang tuya chik teye chi diyo ni chwe di zinda di yago chik nye ane rangzhong che samla tang tuba che chik yin di che ya di da shen la penpa tuya chi diyo yin teye chi diyo ni gomdang karayina da tsangma chwe su tuwa chik yago chik tewa chumbe chwe chanju semji ane chik nyamlengi simba chik chidowa chigi sambe kune gunlong da hachiranzu mancha gunlong chodan shingire chedang susu semna laya chik tsawa rawa chik yuwa rawa chik samla dangtumna ane pendo chimbo yore esra.
So now it's very good that we motivate before listening to the Dharma. So motivation should be that of the great vehicle. Moreover, the method side of the path, nothing missing here. The fact that Lord Buddha has taught these 70 topics and these 8 aspects of the graduated stages of the path to enlightenment. So everything is there for us. In that sense, we're going to hear, listen, reflect, and meditate on those aspects of the path to enlightenment. This is very deep. The Buddha Dharma is also very profound. So we are doing this solely with the motivation to benefit them. We should have other beings' welfare in our hearts and mind. And what is that motivation mainly? It is to increase the kind heart, so that the kind heart goes from strength to strength. And think that by attending this class, that is what one is going to do. One is first going to listen to the teaching, study the teaching, think about it, and finally meditate on it. So once more, that motivation being the benefiting intention, the altruistic motivation, please bless that the mind becomes Dharma in general, but within that framework of Dharma, to be the great vehicle Dharma, to be the Mahayana Dharma, and within that to practice and meditate. Now, I'm sure all of you here know and are familiar with that notion of doing a motivation first, but it's good that we assume that motivation again. Mm-hmm.
야, 다 담자로 왕에 로디 나래야는 드링내시 지다 너도 미제나 야가 연구를 두가 연구를 담아도 망고 연구를 아이나야 수수 샘바상보딩에 가두이나 마토버치기 담자지 되면심 담자 써야 돼 대변 누바체 모래라 니딩어서 메제나라다 원에 지강에들 태운디 그래이네 아니가 샘바상보치야 돼 마제베체나 강에 그래이네야 지심 수수 심 처럼마다야 펜도에 전부도 와 세상에 가두이나디 샘바상보디 니 마토버치기 선명원에 담자시쇼스
Now, make the very strong resolve, determination to oneself that from this very day, for the rest of one's life, one is going to keep that kind heart, the heart that wishes to benefit others. Of course, we face good times, but also difficult times, all kinds of times. But we are making the resolve that whatever type of situation we face, we will never lose that kind heart. Now, such an aspiration has tremendous power because at the time when we do face difficulties, if we keep that kind heart, then we'll find that we won't lose that resolve.
So
try and make that firm resolve and reflect on that in meditation.
다 가와곰 당하는데 내줄 셈바 근데 유 삼지 가와곰스라
Now rejoice, thinking I have generated such a resolve. How excellent.
예, 당저 비딩 exercise 때 쇼스다 말아서 뒤에 참마다 망과 긴장래니 제가 그중에 단다 전부 망보 참 레데요 하고 단다 간딜하지 지진 참보고 뭐 투가네 마니 팀베 탈라니 JFS 무슈 뒤에 탈라니 예스 아니 다 파고 톰에 저주에다 사모 자진 주주로 탑기차 아니 연두니 공 지진 잠배한 저주 공부를 저주 셔럽지차단 탑시 주주가 자진 주주 사모 다주이지 안도 세베디야 왜 첨도 난신 요 상단한테 겹유로 진대지 야공다 신다 삼다마도나야 지진 잠복공부 두고는 뭐 제름버신 두고라네 다자도 마셔줘도 두고라네 저도지 찬데서 나난디로 잡슨 군디 근데 다스스 뒤gün 만자직 소신 그 접유 공부라 뒤gün 가르 공부요 뒤지 공제네 네 두고네 마네 요세치트 네네 네 옥주天文되네 수수수고 나로 오나오나네 주 텐제네 수수류가 예수님기 디과미게와 탐제파 통성 차신 다성선 다 비딩 엑서사이즈 님들어야 단다 피부케이션 세우러 왔다 주즈베장다 님들어야 네 디립 장와디 시dom나 야고도 합니다 다 제당 말아서 낭바이 제나 캡상한테 요라다로 옥담베이나야 옥담베 쇼라야 디립 타야 삼다야 아니 지 구성도 그 신라병야 그 삼다야데 망보요 인상 다 캡상도 랭으로 캡상 랭으로다 캡상데 여와데 랭으로다 이건 저 뒤에 보너스로 어디 옥주 다가 옥주 단 파단 지고 많이 버셔 옥주 단용 뒤에 자유디지 다 세보단 직대 젠단 차다 마주나 수수될 요어지 삼노단 이지 체비나 딜라바고 뉴바지 용거로 하잖아 당부 세보단 내 연구 말에 시제야다 내 연구 말에 수수 매와저시 요 삼담바 잠게네 강게 매와저치와 뒤에든지 투바숙성으로 강게 매와저치와 뒤에든지 수수 매와슈나 좀 된데 가도이나 심징 도와 심징 된chen 피기어를 제가 다가라는 여여버레스 제가 요 인자는 수수 매와체베나 디친라 용거로 아니 어도 세제 비딩 엑서사이즈 뉴들이야 네 수수 딕딥 자야 우추 단되는데 그 친라 구성도 그 친라요는 우파 단되는 수수 류진나자 심지동에 어도서 파 다소 삼노당 드레스데 삼노당 쇼스로
Now, those of us are familiar here, sitting here, we are all familiar with Buddhism. And in that sense, we are going to visualize the merit field. So as we normally do, we visualize the merit field of Ganden Lagyama. And from the heart of the protector Maitreya, from a white cloud, comes the image of Lama Tsongkhapa and his two sons. And the light rays come out of them therein, filling one's body, speech and mind with light. But along with that, one can also visualize on the left side is a Sangha, and a Sangha is representing the method side of the path. These path things, these ground things. And on the left is Nagarjuna. And Nagarjuna from the Manjushri lineage is representing the profound or wisdom side of the path. So you can visualize that, or if it's, and as you normally would visualize your merit field, as you're accustomed to do that. For some of us, we are used to visualizing it like a marketplace, where there's really busy like that. And yet another way is to visualize at the heart of Lama Tsongkhapa from Tushita is Shakyamuni Buddha. At his heart there again is Lama Dorji Chang, the Vadadara aspect. And from that merit field, light rays, this is Dutsi Bebjang, meaning the downward flowing white light, nectar visualization. So when you visualize, imagine that from the heart of the compassionate protector, Lama Dorji Chang, Shakyamuni Buddha, Lama Tsongkhapa, visualize that light comes in through your nose and purifies your body, speech, and mind on the inward breath, so you are getting all of the qualities of the holy body, speech, and mind of the enlightened ones. And on the outward breath, you are breathing out all of the obstructions and obstacles of body, speech, and mind that you have on the outward breath. So we're very fortunate as Buddhists, aren't we? We get the double, we get the profit, because we get the breathing meditation, but we also get the bonus of this purification. So you're breathing, but at the same time you're doing this tremendous purification of body, speech, and mind. And the main point here is when you're doing the visualization, is not to worry about the details. Just think very strongly that the objects of the merit field are there. As Shakyamuni Buddha himself stated, as long as there is aspiration, I will be there for the sentient beings. So in that sense, just having the very strong sense of the objects in the refuge field, the gurus and so forth, they are there, then the blessings will come.
Oh, yeah, that gave the Dombo chain. Breathing exercise.
So please keep relaxed and yet upright, clear posture, and begin with the breathing exercise. Merit field.
다디네 옥투 담파 네 중기 교육 구성도 기침랍 수술라 쪽제 수술생라 믹스에게지 쭉 파자샤 니와 충성 됩냐 야고요스.
Now I think very strongly that due to the blessings of the merit field, one's body, speech, and mind has endowed with the blessings of them and planted seeds in the mind for Dharma.
다 먼저 더 값이 벌어. 이 둔다 주 시정하시도 와다 니나라 니 값이 봐. 나 틱틱틱 시샤로나 더 탁보셔로. 니나 저 계시셔야지. 다 니나 먼저 캠퍼스 좋아시 되부추고 뭐부제디 야고지 디제디 야고지 시도 중이나다 니기 퇴삼지 중한데 오늘게 다 바자 딜레를 하고 샤요 말했어. 쌤은 저 최고 바자 샤스도
좋아.
최고 바자 샤고 그래서도 디다 지 캠퍼스 좋아시 되부추고 다디 거디마다 스토시기요 와제단디 다디 뭐만 저 시나 로토야 말다 디 던진지도 다리 저정서 디간마 또 셰셰네 디네마다 갈래갈래 값이 왜나네마 다 내가 차차면서 다 사마직 지마시 로도 말와
Yeah.
어두스 제제다 바자 샤야 근데 지로 지그네 인자다 알아서 상국교 상고 땅 국업이하고 레와스와
Now, the next 14, 15 weeks, we will be studying this fourth chapter of Maitreya's A Clear Ornament of Realization. And we won't be able to go through the text verbatim, word by word. It's very vast. But I think it's very important that we understand the main things, these 8 topics. So like, we want to understand firstly the 3 exalted knowers, the 4 trainings, the 4 applications, and the one resultant body of a Buddha, the corpus of a Buddha. That's very important because we need to know these well. We just talked about the importance of having very good imprints in terms of Dharma. And there would be no better imprints we could get than knowing these attributes, than knowing these characteristics of the 3, the 3 exalted knowers, the way to train in them, the 4 applications, and the one resultant know of all an omniscient Buddha. So that would really be taking the essence of that 4th chapter if we do that. We probably haven't gone before thoroughly through these 70 topics. But if we do that, then we'll be in a very good place to understand most of the 4th chapter. And what it will do is place tremendously good imprints on our mind for the future of understanding Dharma.
다들라 당보 나 덴주디 온도jen 수제브레 나 덴주 온도제 칸데스 총어레 스르바 디니니 갈랑에 데스 셰낭을와 조작하래 전부부디 칸데스 총어레 덴주디 칸데스 총어레 전부부 수레 스르바
Yeah. So first looking at who composed this text, how was it composed, what does the text express, what's being taught therein, who's the author and so forth. This is good to know.
세상다 좀 된데 그러와 좀 되게 당보 아니 산제 딘시 중고 송 되네 아니 콜로 파워 송 콜로 파워 내가라 아니 홀바우스나다 당조 시진 셔닝보당 봄당 다 제동당 두저바 디네가라다 ngö스 다 동반이기 남샤도 조송을 된라 안 단다 남기는 바 첨바숨 조와시 데부추고 남도다 차장 그런서 봄당인데 다 계주 마 준조야만 되는 태양을 차장데 마 뜻이 좀 거라 된라다 어디지 쉐레 좀 된데다 다 냥일에 대해서 제라 로툭적이 제라다 배대 동반이 남샤지 배 냠제로 배 냠 아니 이 냠네 디카소레 고물로도 페이지 고물로도 그 동반이 남샤지 세버치네 우마르조 투세아도 제로 아 대제로 로급제 제라다 파진 단다디 도게다 배동원도 그런 바디게 와 몸바도 그런 바디게 저는 거두고요 말와 아니 신도 파고토메 페이지 파고토메게 지진 잠복 공부 뚫지 다디 파고토메게 마 지진 잠복 공부 간디 이거 주된 쇼요로 제단다 파진 대구에게 살람진 남샤들로 타나단 되어요다 타나단 되어 제단 용다게 매베 인상 딩상 미망버지게 디스탄제지가 말했어요 낭외추 말했어요 근데 시고 하고고요 말와 그 타나게 왕이 용인자 세상 파고토메 간디 이거 주진을 앞에 지진 잠바고면서 송주슈 근데 내가 잠주 땡아세야라 잠주 땡아세야 되다 네 지진 잠바고면 파고토메에는 아주 되나마 zambulingi milata nyembe sudi che sudi ta cheyune de ne ngazo ya mikchewa na shi cheje logubje jela ne sesan pago tome dang kombuludula singde suchi sigdo odi dusre de jana de zambobo pago tome yilamne digre sesan chambogo mo yilamne digre da okay zambobo denje zambobo tereda
So now let's look at this. Buddha appeared historically in this world and attained enlightenment and then taught, for example, the Four Noble Truths, the first turning of the wheel, and the second dissemination of teaching, the middle turning of the wheel, was very much on the nature of the profound, on emptiness, and this was taught in various lengths. We have the vast lengths, the 100,000 stanzas, and then 20,000, and then 8,000. And this all is expressing explicitly the nature of reality or emptiness, but implicitly what it was teaching was the Lam Rim. For example, these path things, these method things that we're studying in this class, these 8 topics, are implicit. But then after Buddha's parinirvana, 600 years after Buddha passed away, the understanding of the profound view of emptiness had very much degenerated. So along came the protector Arya Nagarjuna and very much clarified the conqueror's intent with regards to the nature of reality and emptiness, and composed, the 6 classes of reasonings, this great collection of teachings expounding the profound. And then we have, of course, on the method side of the path, the fact that a Sangha had a connection with Maitreya Buddha and went to Tushita, Pure Land, to hear the teachings on the perfection of wisdom. Now, the teachings on the perfection of wisdom, because they weren't perhaps taught openly, the method side of the path wasn't that common. So that the method side of the path had to be recollected or redisseminated. So in that sense, then a Sangha went to the Pure Land of Tushita, where he took the teachings from Maitreya Buddha, and what we have from that are these 5 texts, these 5 main treatises, if you will, on the method side of the path. So then the appearance of a Sangha then in that kind of time frame was 900 years after Buddha's parinirvana. And in that sense, a Sangha was a human. So a Sangha came back from that teaching of Maitreya Buddha in the Pure Land and much as we can see each other, he disseminated those teachings as a human on this earth. Now that's very much why Nagarjuna and Asanga are known as the two charioteers, the two pioneers of the two sides or the two streams of Buddhist teaching, the profound and the vast lineage of the path. So we're reminded that whether you say that the author of these teachings is Maitreya or Asanga, it doesn't really matter. It's like the same.
다 지나서는 파고탐에 간대가 춘세 간대신이래, 그렇죠? 다 베진디 파고탐에 로주 인지간을 열어.
요래.
지나서 랑존치 당에 로주 셰모와셔. 지나서 로나 야고 열어. 수수 로나 로주는 거르와. 아니 로주나라. 말로니야 시그마고든데도나. 안제메 진짜제마 티월 키우나 디로. 다 로주디 지나서 랑존치 파고탐에 로주디로.
Now, the account of how Master Asanga went to the realm of Tushita to take these teachings, how did he go there? This is translated in English. I think it would be very good for you to take the time to seek out that account. And if there's anything that's not clear in that account, come back and we'll answer that. So self-study there.
제단다디 파고탐에 디나네 간조 랍젤레야 가려라나 파고탐에 다 아니 간조 수수수수 간조 하고음디 수수 렉 깨워 유미게 다스다요 와
야
제단 파고탐에라 미제 지진 참보 공부단 되어요 와디 렉 대체는 아니 지진 참보 공부 로중니 공부잖아 와 로중니 공잡잡잡잡네 니 셰만 제베지 타마들라 아니 닝지 전부 치려야 다 닝지 계제 닝지 계획 도기 아니 주전 참고 공부 다 현재에 다들 로주디나네 간저 랍전이래요 그래서 로주 말론 당보도 가려나 무슨 준비 배전 깔래 자고다 깔래 맞잖아나 되고요 말해서 깔래 수수 자고다 밑상으로 깔래 수수 자고라 수수 깔래 잡나 수수를 되고요 당보디 먼저 최치도 갈래자고 어디 랍지 찍len 거랬어. 이바디 다 곰자 우죽 잡치고 말이 닝지게 거랬어. 닝지로 닝지.
오케이.
닝지게베나 아니 디그립 타도 디그립 타나 아니 직 도보제야당 산제던데 셰제야당 너도던데 용거와 제가 닝지 다 대보시면 최고 자와디 전주생래 전주생 유자와디 닝지 셴모로 제가 안다 시징 되나라야 아니 좀 된데 랑 송도 망볼을 라와면서 찍을 라고 저거래서 저 망볼을 랍기요 말해서 당고 찍을 라고 그래서 찍도 가래서는 인지심 뭐 있어 제가 인지심 모델 개점 뭐 싶이 자고 그래 니 말하면서 망보지 곰 잡제네 신의 곰 잡제 tom바단 제존도마단 근데 곰 잡제야라 와시비 자그라 제금도 가르치나 말하면서 딕딕 인지 곰나 딕딕 다제 라신 뭐 강화 쉬쉬게 제용 거라 그런 강에 요 말이잖아 자닝지 닝직다 닝지 또 지제 공고 어디 개좀 쉬지 차고요 그래서 어디니디 네 다 점보보 파고 탐에게 로주그나네 간조 랍젤랭 아드레스 로주로 되어 지금 되는 간조 랍젤랭 거라다 어디레스
What are we to take from reading the account of Asanga's life story, pieces of advice? It's not just that we read the story, we are to take something in terms of our experience from it, some main point. Here, the point is that Asanga had a special karmic connection with Protector Maitreya, and to that light, he meditated to see Maitreya directly, put great effort and meditated for 12 years to try and get a vision of the Protector Maitreya, but still he could not see after putting great effort after 12 years. But then upon coming out of the cave and seeing an emaciated dog, to tell the story in short, Asanga developed great compassion, and then in dependence on that great compassion purified the non-virtue so that he could in fact see Maitreya Buddha directly. So what we are to take from this short account is two things, two pieces of advice. The first is that in order to gain realizations on the path, oneself has to make tremendous effort. You yourself have to put in the hard yards and do the effort. If you don't put in the effort, you won't get the result. The second point of advice from this account of Asanga is that it's by meditating on great compassion that the non-virtues are quickly purified, and then the resultant realizations ensue from that purification by meditating on the compassion. So if we look at the long-term goal of Buddhahood, we know that that's coming from practicing the great vehicle of the Mahayana, which in turn is by generating bodhicitta. That bodhicitta is caused by great compassion. So Buddha says in the Prajnaparamita Sutras, there's not much to say. Essentially, just meditate on great compassion in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. So we always try and put so much effort into meditation. We want to meditate on Tara. We want to get calm abiding. But our results are quite slow. And this is because often we haven't purified obscurations. So in order to purify those obscurations, the great compassion is paramount. So that's what we should take away from Asanga's story, not just the fact that it's a story of a great master.
어디체 다디네 최대 중림디 당기로 지주 다주 원도 gen라디 중림디 저버번안에 롭즈 연구도 하다니 두스체제다 지진 참고 공부게 니 파고타밀라송 파고타밀게 잠불레나 마체 데이터 두스간조 저 파고타밀게 잠신조디 양정도 치수미 코마도네 로메 싱기상보게 원도 gen지 대화 전세세처로 로메 싱기상보 다디 치스 양자 코마도네 다 보여주 낭대게 케버스 대화망고 잡여다 디돌러와
오케이.
네 대화 전세다 원도 님돌라 대화망고 잡여 다디 가서 길롱은 저희는 제름 뭐친지 렉처 샌딩 아니 제저로 뭐친지 아니 남신인게 제로 캐르로 뭐친 파진도게 나왔어요 다든데 된저든데 요 다도도 참마 아니 대화든세다 원도진지 대화래로 다 제르무진 페사베 뒤야 제르무진 레시스는 kok하고요 도나지레로 아니 되게 대화 레시스는 나신인도 먼저 세라 지든 최견쟁게 아니 갑제기 지든 스드 딱 갑제 갑레레레레 지든 타주 스드 다베데 탭 다거지 탭 휴저다 로 간다 대교란서 대직도 값 시베 지든으로 봐 다줘요 값 당분이 봤어 뭐죠 값 개봤어 안다 캠버스um 저와시 되부추고 뭐부 제시해서 제들 값 개수 값 제 디자인을라네 저와 잡네 지준 추견생이 돼 다디나시 다 쉬워요 저와든데 저 도리스 두이나 뭔도 jenji 뭐부 제디다 코든 차야가 치디 저와 잡고요래 어두스다 된주의 중림된데 레스라
So then, in terms of the text, we know that this ornament of clear realization, disseminating the path side of the conqueror's intent, coming from, the method side, coming from Maitreya to Asanga, came into this world, and then came down from Asanga to Lopin Singhi Sangparwa, Purnarwa, and who was a great master in India. And then that was carried through to Tibet. And the Tibetan masters made many, many commentaries on the clear ornament of realization. Many, many commentaries. But if we look at the Geluk lineage, it is texts such as Lekye Tsedinra. And this was composed by Lama Tsongkhapa and his heart disciple Kidripje, also Ra. Dogenawa. These other texts.
남신인기.
남신인데.
먼저 대 군다숨도와.
Yeah.
다들 다 미지 중디 잠신jo 베제도서 먼저 제여로. 디하고 싶도 알아.
Okay.
디하고 여러.
So we, these texts by Lama Tsongkhapa, Kidripje that Gishla's mentioning, Gyaltsabje, the commentaries on Maitreya's Ornament of Clear Light Realizations, it's good that we have these texts here so that we can get them and we get the blessings from them. Now, the master to read some of these commentaries is really quite difficult. So we have the coming of Jetsun Chogi Gyaltsen. So to read some of Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary is really quite difficult for us, quite kind of, how you say, technical. But Jetsun Chogi Gyaltsen, the contemporary master that we're studying here, this text. So for example, we are studying this 4th chapter. And this 4th chapter deals with these 8, qualities, the 3 knowers, the 4 trainings, and the resultant Buddha body. So each of the chapters of Clear Ornament has in turn commentaries on it, and commentaries within commentaries, and then commentaries again. So a lot of commentaries.
Lodun Tawres, Lodun, full star, Lodun, Tando, Jachambura. Pajindi, Nale, Jab Sub Jachayo, Nal.
All right.
The Shungayora, Namde, Uma, Anin, Dua, Nga. Duzule, Pajin, Jachishu, Kalakashure, Jachambura. Nga, those in the doctors who did Lelhabado, Dumdevodo. Uma del Bedum Devora. Chazanda, Pajin, Pejachamo, Lodun. On the Lodun Tower, the Tando Taju Mongol Hader. Tando Tata Pajin Lodun Tower.
Wow. So the vast nature is like this. We would study this text 7 years in the monastery and still not completed. This is even more extensive than Tantra. So in the monastery they would study 5 main collections of teachings. Brahmanavartika, valid cognition, the middle way, Tantra, Pachin, and ethics, Dua. So, this study of the genre of perfection of wisdom that we're studying, 7 years and still not complete, it's big.
It's
so vast, in fact. A lot of people say, wow, to study the tantric vehicle is so big, but actually, this perfection of wisdom is even vaster.
That is it. Georgia, the so jumped the sunshine, you seizing the Bedongo, Bastang over Jedra. Over Jeg, Rimba on the Tambo, teaching Lamma, Namsha, the Tes Shena, and on the Pejing Shena, Yawa, Shemisha. So
then the question is, what does this text express? What is it teaching? Well, here it's teaching these 8 topics, isn't it? The 3 exalted knows, the 4 trainings, then the results of a Buddha. But really, before we go into that, I think it would be good if we got a broad overview of the 5 paths of the Mahayana. Otherwise, we'll just get a headache. Yeah, to get that kind of foundation, cornerstone, or broad overview of the path, we need to know what is a path. We need to know what is a Mahayana path. That's good.
Dila Lam said the Shivala and on the 2 Dishana Yawarta Mondo General. Judan de Banam and Sangelas Kunjo Sum Sita, sharing with the church Shedan in Badelaya. Ombudula Shedanji, Ombonombola Shedanji. The Ombonombo Shedandi, Rubaranu all of the Mi Tembashila Tamba, Tengujosuna Tambas, Tambo, and a Denish, and the Ne Japsungunam Shad Shigdo, or this Shambaina, and a lamb said the Kandeji, the Kandeji lamb you made the sugar. Demission lamb said this, sick the new Tundu Redele, Kodende, Takeji Dinshinam Shadi, Shego Edita. So
then, in terms of firstly, what is a path, a valid path consciousness, we hear a citation from Clear Ornament itself that says that, the nature of the accomplisher, i.e. the person that's practicing, and then the truth aspects Buddha, Dharma, and so forth, the three rare sublime ones. And then this is taking place in terms of those who have sharp faculties and those who have less sharp faculties, by those having faith and then from seeing getting the attainments. So reminding us that there's like the basis, path, and result. So the basis is what we're working with, the two truths, and then the path of the four truths, and then the result of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That's a good way to understand path.
다당고 데니 세운데 군주 덴바 세운데 내가 그거를 주다는 당고인이 지서 왕고를 주다는 시. 전단 덴바시도 타도 그거를 주다는 시행 거와 와
Yeah, so in terms of the base, we talked about the two truths. Essentially, relative truth is looking at the truth for an obscured mind, how things appear for us. And then secondly, ultimate truth is the final mode of those phenomena.
다 디인도 그런저 다 군족 남샤 셰인도 아니 단다 지 코올라 주베림 바다 코올라 도베림 바스지다 디니레마 디시 투영 거라 디 다 코올라 코르단데 칸데 걸고요래 코올라 죽두 칸데 죽은 걸라 디네 먼저 디 넬루 타두 마시베 온 거라 니주 메시베 온 게. 먼저 동에 망고시오지 연구여러 그래서나 년 수수게 네지 룽하게 자와 가래 제바디 몽벌라 대부 컨대 연구요마디 알레 동반이의 파샤제 응을라 균대가 남샤디 신경 말어.
오케이.
근데 내게다 지 이렇게 제시다 루기 자와체다 된대지 제바이나 몽바 동에 된대지 연구를 메시바디 온게는 먼저 동에 몽고 싶지 독수용되게 여러데 네 제가 동해 영야디 어느 동해 영야디다 군조라고 직소 많이 봐 미신다 직소 많이 봐 나란저 뒤에 소야나라 만자된데도 와 동해라고당 마지오라고 직다 수수연데 미신다 직소를 해서 미지를 봐 주고주가 로다 디 직체스 니체스 한 수수연 내가 야구라고 지 석세도 야구 차나 딩에 체인스라고다 디 장고 말아봐 야구대 스스제나 두자대 스스제래 독자의 미 제위나 야구대 미신다 저거라 제가 그 릭베디 태그문다 제가 딩안도 디날 거래 잡대네 두가디나 미신다 제래 야가되는 스스제스 버데기요라 제가디 동해야디 동해기 주 미시베 온 거 연구요디 내가 말하면서 와다 처왕고가나게 내주 망고 춘주 렌데 레세 파샤시 당일래 윤대가 남샤들와 균대가 남샤디 하모 마시베 옹게 셰나 다딩에 게제셰다다 레가 딘데 체나 마음바 ngal dungi yungore mishinda dungi yungore odi digi mares ane ko zemthugora onzo di mashibe yenza de zemthugu mendo wa de zemthugu yomar dungi gi yula jugdogora chunju nala sunda gyase chimo shiwale dungi tende loye ya dungi ni la ngomba jugsro dungi tende yore se ba ngara sama dungi theya ge doba yore ina ngazo dungi gi yula pe ngombar ju pe doba chimbo cheje dungi gi judu yore Dewa Dejan Timobe Rangi Dewa Rada Jason Tanzo Dewa Dugo restaurant as some Digi Dugo. Inaya, Susu Deve Jude, and Susu Timu Mombe Onge, and Susu Deve Jude, Dana Shipa, Panshares. Susan Deve Jumado Enza, Dewa Yongo Mare, and Dunge Dugo Mare Dunge Jula and Jogo Enza, Dunge Yongo Resta. Anzoge, Moy Nezuge, Nedara de Ota, Tereso, that does it dishing or eso, that Tango de la Nedan dishe or eso, rather.
So then, knowing the being ignorant of, leaving aside emptiness for the minute, but just being ignorant of the nominal or relative truth, this first relative truth in terms of how we enter into the samsaric predicament of suffering and how we are to reverse it. So because in terms of the Four Truths, because we don't know the final mode of abidance of reality, because we don't understand emptiness and know how phenomena exist, so let alone even understanding emptiness, we are ignorant of how we behave, on a basic level. So when we do certain sorts of things with our physical bodies and our speech, we don't know on a level of causality how that will end up in the future as a suffering result. So we're ignorant, let alone being ignorant of, emptiness. We're ignorant of the law of cause and effect. So in that sense, that ignorance of body and mind, not knowing that we will suffer, and sometimes thinking that we ourselves have created that suffering, rather than pointing the finger externally or thinking that comes from a creator God. We often think that if we do something good, I did it. But if we experience suffering, we point the finger and say that it comes from them. And actually our way of looking at it is not valid at all. Because when we go through difficulties and suffer, we know it through our feelings that we're suffering, but what we don't realize is that we ourselves have created the cause in terms of the law of causality. And then in fact, when we feel good and good things happen, that also is dependent on the kindness of others. It's not just coming from ourselves. In short, being ignorant of the law of causality, Shantideva puts it very well when he says that although we do not want to suffer, we rush to create the causes for suffering. And although we want happiness out of ignorance, we destroy the causes of happiness like an enemy. So this is what we have to come to know, the law of causality.
제가 좀 전에 전문을 최당보성의 남규례의 산재지고만 토고래 숨문도 말라 아니 말라 또거든데 톱서 전환저든데 토고래 대숨문도 당모거란 아모거란라 동해시오래 숨문도 하당 당모거란 어디래다 좀 전에 최당보들 어디서라 동해시오라다 신데 어디서도 하셔다 내가 저는 좀 전에 산재고만 토고래 땐데도 아다 말라 땐데도 유튜브에서 전환저 토고래 삼사를 쳐요 말들래 태우고라 다 주주때 고도스가 네 신의 공부를 항동 공부를 마음으로 공부를 조정 공부를 숨문도 알아 근데 숨문도 동해시고래 숨도 당모대 어디래다 좀 된데 다가라래단다
When Lord Buddha first taught, he didn't say generate a path, get realizations, get great bliss. He didn't say that, did he? The first thing that Lord Buddha taught about was the reality of our predicament. The first thing that Lord Buddha taught was to know sufferings and dissatisfactions. The Buddha didn't straight away say, I've got great bliss. I can do miracles. You should get Mahamudra. You should get Dzogchen. You should get calm abiding. He didn't say that first, did he?
Buddha never say, may third eyes open. I never see this Buddha's reading laws master never say may third eye open.
So first thing that Buddha said was to recognize dissatisfaction.
그런데 뭐 책도 쓰여와 근데 대시행자 이제 접상로 이나는 편도요 레다니 뭐 세베타 레다니 뭐 남도래 대다들래 저번에 동반이지 가고 줄셔야 돼 레다니 뭐 세베타서 되고 된데 레다니 뭐 남도래 아니 대다들래 저번이 이제 장안주기 아니 동해다 타만디고다 마지바도서 아니 레다니 뭐 남도래 되네 총으로에서와 남도래 되네 취미지 남도래 되네 총으로에서 and summiji namdo de la turne toba kharchungwasana and stress the anxiety the depression and loneliness that the yed thangma ani namdo summiji ge timudinji maribe mongbati wange toba de mama toba char toja ne ranjinji dang dingji dang ani ta thanda dijere ngarang zo chongo gana kangye yodo odo thangma ani summiji namdo toba la de chongres 다디 디 싸워디게디 단단한 줄레 풍부도서 있나 레레드네 총어레 레디네 디무디제 마르블드네 총어레 대봉제기 싸워디네 동반니지가 가지고서네 동니도 벌려도기네 가그레 세운데 chesan dina la ya leda nyumo namdo le teda tule towa ni sewa digi ne jugun jung dan dewu du den de she college go rimba de she leda nyumo sebe tha se dan tongba ni ji ga wo ju sa digi ne kola do go rimba ani lam den da kok den sa di din shin nam sha digi dina da da komolu du chi dina la khode wo che yabu shudo di paru jorgi jogi de ga la sam dang dang chi dum na pendo pe chambo res.
And as we often recall, or we should recite the verse from Nagarjuna's Root of Wisdom, where it says, Letong Yamong Sepatar, so destroy karma and disturbing emotions. These arise from mental constructs. Mental constructs, in turn, come from elaborations of true existence, and such elaborations cease in emptiness. So, what this is saying is that we have to cease these mental constructs. Now, you know, these mental constructs cause us a lot of suffering, and they come from the fact that we have inappropriate thoughts, invalid thoughts that reify the existence of things. And in dependence on this reification or elaboration, we hallucinate, we get stress. So all of this is really coming from this type of unawareness or ignorance that grasps at true existence. So in dependence on that, unawareness grasping at true existence, we elaborate, we hallucinate, and then there is self-cherishing, there's strong ego grasping. So all of that is coming from these inappropriate mental constructs, these thoughts. So really, when we talk about reversing the unenlightened stage, reminding us that it's the five aggregates that we have that are a product of karma and disturbing emotions that have to be reversed, have to be turned, and their cessation will happen in emptiness. So this verse, it's very useful if we can recite it, because it really clearly says the two sets of cause and effect. Letong Yamong Sebatar, so to recognize the karma and disturbing emotions, and then to stop them, to destroy them in terms of the true sufferings that they cause and the origins of karma and disturbing emotions. And the second two sets of cause and effect, true cessations and true paths, the elaborations, they cease in emptiness. So we're reminded to know those four truths by the verse.
아니 수제직 라비나로와 아니 제랑도 다 둔다제망도 남지림바다 되지 칼레글 제메 근데 살람게 차트지도와 디콘조 유나야보다 람가 숨정에 차트지와
데라 콘조 요리
어디 콘조 디케용 아니 텔라다게 되게 쳤나 야고요라디 다디 람가디 좀정아디 데스 셰고 데마시나도 나고부제도 단디 싱마로와 다 다레 둔다데 라믹세게 로야디 아니 파우타메게 로주 로야체 곰자야 되단다 딘시게 근데 칙디 신샤나야 거잖아 상물로 그단다 곰불로도 칙디 나지 칙된 템보로지 메드처럼 콘솔 파테로 왔던데 디 준주 칙 주르여와
요라
템보 칙 소제 디 콘솔 데 콘솔 디 론지 당샤나야 거다 레다니모 세베타 레다니모 남도 레다둘레도 안데 나네 달랍자 가르랭 거래 라위디 당보 레 시다베 때 제우 쇼지 마주나네 말아서 제가 들려 들어니 동반이 가고 주셔야 돼. 래 동이 도베도 가다가 들어봐디게 돼 가야 되라. 그냥 알아서 우중 검자면으로 우중 검자 되게 뇌스러워테 삼바데 기부로 연구도 알아.
야.
우중 검자 스스심도 다다가 가나 데데 샤토이나네. 데데 스스라 데데 시와로 스스라 대화로 데스 연구로 다디 꼭된 지든버지로 다 저바 취미지 남도 데스 축시 가버와 가베 차들 시워지로 데 꼭된 지든버와 딜레데네 다 꼭된 신이지 연구도 스다 꼭된 세야지 동일레 테베 타바치다 연구 용사레 데 삼로담 토베이나는 아주 신도 타버더니 로실레토고로 타버더니 롤레토베이나 아니 신도 잠로 야고지 연구로 어디 균진내가 되레다 네가나 곰자베 디 삼로담단 직직 저런도 만자 우종 곰제고로 다 대신 대날다 대날랭은 저 상로 망부 다 요르들다 대신 찍디가나 수수 냠뇨 상로 테스트한테 와치 타버스니지 고den스니지 시와다 고den라는 시와 세상 알아서 욱중 공잡제 때 가가 되나 아니 욱중자는 세 때지 삼바교도 어디 시와 타버들 고den데 하데 바 유링보 tinde난 신지 베티 근데 동해기 전에 수노바촌에 때마더니 수미지 남도다 미신다 그 책도 가르람나 너바 때마더니 시바지 연구여다 대다 때인데 되게 되어서 타바 템보식 된데 연구여러 하시나 대단디 용직 용사의 삼삼지 수수 삼로 당지 곰시갸토이나 야고여래 대전 당보들에서
랑종, yeah. So we're running out of time to go into the 5 paths this evening, but I think it's good if during the week we can look at things such as the story of a Sangha, how he went to Tushita and retrieved the teachings on the path, these method sides of the Buddha's teaching. And then also we can bring the chart next week and go through it sequentially as we have more time. So not only that, but it's good if we can memorize such verses that we've been through this evening, because we've started to look at the 4 truths and Nagarjuna's verse that relates to the dissemination and understanding of those 4 truths. Because there's a certain type of advice coming from this verse, and the main piece of advice here is that these elaborations, these invalid thoughts we have, they really cease in emptiness, they cease in voidness, the true nature of the mind. So therefore, reminding us that when we do the breathing exercise, we can start to see, just by training our minds in meditation and breath exercise, that we start to get a rest from the thoughts, in the sense that we start to abide in the present moment. And you might start to get a sensation of well-being in the mind. And this bliss is really like a facsimile. It's like a very small part of true cessation. So when you train the mind more sequentially and long-term like that, it's the beginnings of starting to see that, yes, perhaps the true cessation talked about in this verse, where the hallucinations, the elaborations of true existence start to cease. We start to be separate from them. Then we start to see the possibility of a valid path consciousness. And then if we take that further, we can understand how that valid path consciousness, the true cessation, is the 3 sublime ones. It is the refuge of the 3 jewels. So that is there. So then that's very important, because we want to know, what does liberation mean? Well, liberation really means true cessation or peace. And that peace is such that when you develop that peace in your meditation through the breathing exercise over a sustained period of time, you start to have less thoughts. And then you won't be affected so much about what others say about you. And you'll understand that those thoughts that you're having are not so valid. So that's, I think I got it all. Sorry.
다시네 이제 전이와디 레단이 못 남도 레서다. 먼저 여기 단대 내가 그때도 망보다 하와도 사전이는 이 풍부데 아니 레라드네 총으로 해서라. 인도장가라 안아서 대베네주 내주 망보지 레라된 렌데가 남셔. 학과도 다 단다 수술라 강해된데 연어와 룰 나자 생구동에 안도 내주 담면도 강해 담면도 연구도 하다 코어디 나라 연구도 알아. 코어스니들 대신제라 연구도 아니 가시 내주 간라 내주서 대 배야 내주 간라 내주서 되기도 이제 저리도 졸라네 수수 매전나 강에 뭐스다 태연데 도 상마다 지 경험에 레게 대부직 파 매바 차송 삼로 아와다제레데 경험에 레게도 유진지 매나 단데 대부디 연구 말봐 제가 대부디다 수술을 미베 인상 다디 수술 랭인 바 대부직 세송로 봐 다 배우고 총송 아니 가오공 와 가서 단대 동에 참여장 남의 랭이 세지we 치마대we 요지we 돌아가고 곰시 아서 가라 곰중 그래서 이와 단당한서
로정에
가라 곰중 로전아 근데 송다 단당한서 동에 녀야시도 단당한서 동에 녀야돼 가르쳐서나 수수 랭에 바게 되고 세도고 요레스 랭에 배 되고 세나 아니 레 가를 하그래 레 개와디길 하디요 개와딜 하연디 아니 개베 되고 가려요 그래서 아니 대화용 그래 다 제자 단다 되고 동에 녀와 되게 아니 랭에 배 되고 파 세네 치마 수술라 대화용 거요 봐 디 동에를 되네 대화 중식이 요 말다 예 제가 동에 녀와 되 랭에 되고 세 되고 세는 아니 신도 데려와 가서 배낭 안 들어와 아 무기지 망고 요나 무기지 요나 배샤 쌓이면도 와 밸런스 요면도 와 무기지데 매버 차스나나 아니 먼저 밸런스 데라고도 어디래다 데스그다 돈다도도 디시고라 동일라 딱 가고 검스다 오 당아 플로 매버 차송 다 가고 청송 둘러 가고 검시아시 그래서 소원은 라편도시 뭐 돈다 딘시기 레단 요모남도 레레데네 총으로 사디가 둘 먼저다 삼로 소원은 매정을 난 삼로데 단투이나 야고도 와라
The advice for this life, then, when we face problems, coming back to the stanza from Nagarjuna, the first line, Ledang Yamang Sibitar, destroy karma and disturbing emotions. Really, the 5 aggregates we have now that are the result of past karmas. From the physical side, we get sick. From the mental side, we get worries and problems. These are all a product of causality, cause and effect. And we need to understand that in terms of this first line to, invalidate the source of it. So firstly, there are those who have lots of difficulties in life and they seem to be good people but go from problem to problem, not understanding that the problems that they're going through very much are causally related. This is coming down to the law of causality. Without the cause, one won't experience the result. But it's very good if one can actually embrace or kind of accept those difficulties and sufferings, to think that now the negative karma one has done in the past has matured and that is exhausted the negativities one has created in the past, and what's left is virtue. It's only good, because then the negativities, the result of those negativities, the suffering is gone. So as it says in the mind training text by Gorampa Karagomchung, he says that, the great result of suffering now is that it exhausts the non-virtue of the past. And then in terms of the future, one won't have to experience it again. So it's much better, he says, in mind training, to be sad than to be happy. It's very much like you have a mortgage and you've always got the mortgage hanging over you. But once the mortgage of the house or whatever is wiped, then you start to get, in the red, is it? Profit? Balance. Sorry, you get in the black. You get the balance. You start to get the good balance. So where we come to see the lesson from this life should be that actually to be suffering is quite good, because then you're getting into the black. You're getting a good balance of your account, no? So balancing this life's accounts in terms of the mind training.
데 삼로 망보 따나 메시 람산 소알레 뭐 삼로 따나 삼로 따나 아니 칼레다 딜 내용 거와 계시셔야 되는데 동해지 예외가나 동해 니버서 말다 편도 전부였다 데 삼당 톰나로 수수
So this we really have to think very deeply and thoroughly on. It won't come immediately to us, but we have to think, deep with our feelings. And when the suffering comes, then try not to stay and wallow there.
어디 대셔?
We'll stop now.
Oh yeah. 사지
Paje metata
레라리
신이데
신이데
gemba
겐바데
sange
상게
shinde
신게
metewa
메데와 저게 난다 젠라
shinde
제파라쇼
kuse
고세라
rabdeshin
대신 나가 텐레 저주 제와 땅 로산 템베 되메 사섬지 되메 메세다도 내주지 이다
guru
구르레네 멘델라
dhamma
간디야타야미 겨와디
kewadi
유드다 라마 산제 두지체 도와 치자말레와디
Positive potential I may have created by paying homage, offering, and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach. I now dedicate all this for the full awakening. I dedicate all these reasons of virtue with the dedication, praises, and best. By the victorious ones thus gone 3 times, so that I might perform the noble bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharma Sankalpa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish granted, the wish fulfilling to all, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, being imperably kind, cleansing God, so I beseech. May all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigration beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is the unification of emptiness and compassion. To the lotus holder tensing counsel I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Nagarjuna's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels. Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. By relying on the jewel accumulations of myself and others in the 3 times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losam Drapa blaze for a long time.